What's up, everybody? We're live. I didn't even do a countdown because it's like that tonight. How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of The Lore Games. I am your wonderful host, Todd, founder of Adult Fantasy, and you are here in the wonderful world of the Writer's Room, the creation of our amazing storytelling universe. How's that? If this is your first time here, welcome. You are in the middle of a spoiler show. This is a spoiler show. What does that mean? Well, that means that this show is where we actually invent together, you and us, everybody. We actually create all of the major events that are going to occur within the adult fantasy universe. So this is like we're setting up the future Endgame, the future big Marvel type events, the Thanos that's going to appear. Like all of that stuff is created in this show with you together with us. So, we're just going to throw some stuff against the wall. We're in the middle of our second season of this. I still don't know whether to call it a season or a volume, but our first season / volume resulted in a really fantastic story called Blood and Metal. And our wonderful compatriot Zachary Arbella is actually writing that novel as we speak. So that'll be coming out soon. It's freaking phenomenal. And I think it inspired all of us in great ways. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody that's here tonight. Let's start with, I'm going to start with top level. This guy right here, right over here. High five. High five. What's up, man? This is Dusty Sky, compatriot in adult fantasy, swallower of swords.
Thank God you said swords.
Look down on that one.
Oh man, how are you doing, Dusty?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm not sweating bullets at all.
Good. All the pressure's on you. KG, what's up, KG? We'll say hello to everybody in chat in just a second. Well, welcome, Dusty. So glad to have you tonight. Oh man. Okay, so Andrew looks busy, so we're gonna go south right here.
How
Studio 7.62, aka Avery Butterworth. How you doing, man?
I'm all right.
Good, man. Welcome. So Avery is a phenomenal illustrator.
I am.
You are. If you are inside of adult fantasy, you've seen his work primarily right now on the adult fantasy Ashcan edition. However, he is also illustrating the first Origin comic that we have coming out featuring D Void. It is in production now. I was looking at the pages being lettered as we speak. Everybody in adult fantasy and Discord, the community, we asked a whole bunch of questions. We got some phenomenal feedback, had some votes on certain things. All of that went into the script. So the book is actually coming out soonish, right? We're actually finishing up production with that soonish. We have a few more things to do with that. The lettering is underway, and then we will be discussing launch dates for it. Avery is also has also worked for Heavy Metal Magazine. He's worked for Image Comics, White Wolf Publishing. Dude, you've been around, man. Yeah.
Mostly role-playing games, the tabletop stuff, a lot of the Vampire and World of Darkness stuff.
Weird. Go figure. I always figured your art style more of like a strawberry shortcake. Or
Yeah. I mean, I tried to get in there, but
yeah, something about a giant skull with deer antlers sticking out of it didn't really appeal to
No, it didn't. I thought it was perfect.
I do too. I don't understand why. Hey, my oldest daughter would love it. So
yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, welcome, brother. And then we over on this side right here. Andrew, what's up? How you doing?
I was trying to give you a high five.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is just sad.
There's that old expression about monkeys effing a coconut. Yep, that's us. No, just kidding. Never mind.
I don't know that. I've never heard.
Never heard that one.
No, I have not.
It's more commonly monkeys fucking a football, but okay.
Oh well, coconut.
Good night, folks.
And that's all, folks.
So Andrew is a phenomenal illustrator. He's created several graphic novels. His most recent one is Hero Volume 3, which is toiling away on. He's the George R.R. Martin of graphic novels.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Of woodland creature graphic novels.
That's right.
Yes. It's coming along. It's coming along very well at a snail's pace. Yes.
That's right. And he's also a retailer of one of the best comic shops in the state of Florida. And I'm not just saying that; it genuinely is my all-time favorite comic shop, Misfit Corner Comics. It's so fun. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Awesome.
Ready to set the direction of the conversation this evening with one suggestion.
Oh no! Start over. That's the suggestions that haven't.
No, that's called doing a Drew. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. What page are you working on? Well, I'm on my 30th page. Awesome. You're on page 30?
But I've decided to start all over again.
I'm on page 1. I've just drawn it 30 times. Yes. Let's say hello to chat. MK Kronos, what's up, MK? How you doing? Knock knock. Stand target. Yeah, we're trying, man. KG, yo, it's Lore Games time. What's up, KG? Welcome, sir. How you doing? Dusty says, hold on, Todd's doing his hair nice. And KG says, no way, he'll have a hat on. And I do. And Julie, hi, Julie, how are you doing? Welcome. Julie says, I went to the store to get cigarettes while listening to some doctor about Alzheimer's on YouTube, and then you popped up out of nowhere with your good vibes as always. Oh, thank you so much. Then she says, this is way better content for sure. I agree. Although, if you stick around long enough, we will make you want to forget. So anyway, come on. You gotta, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't get any love on that one. No, it's true. KG says very true.
Yeah.
MK says getting dumped on Drew. No,
it's all right. I can handle it.
Yeah,
I'm used to it.
Oh yeah. Elias says he said we fared better than my friends south of us. Yeah. Well, we know our friend Zach, I think, is getting a little bit of it. So. But it's fine. Everything's fine. Everybody's healthy and happy, and good. So we're at least in our universe, and we definitely are thinking about everybody in Florida tonight who is not doing as well as we are. But you know what? Honestly, what we can do is have a good time and lighten the mood a little bit. It's always good. It's always fun. All right, now let's do some more games. We can do some creative destruction. Let's do it. All right. So tonight we are in the middle of we're in the middle of the story structure circle. I think did we finish this? Let's see where we are. We had worked. Find, take, return, change. We did a little bit of this. We have an opportunity to we can do a couple things, and I know Andrew has a suggestion. But before we jump into the suggestion, we can stick to the story structure circle tonight, or we can move on to the next step, which is sort of the more granular breakdown.
Yeah.
I guess, Andrew, do you want to do your suggestion, and maybe that will lead us in the right direction?
The way you started that, though, you got that Billy Joel song stuck in my head. Is the way you kept repeating in the middle of. We were in the middle. It was like in the middle of the night. Stop.
In the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now it's in my song. Thanks, Ari.
Yeah, it's in your head now.
I know what song that is. I remember that one.
Yeah.
That's the one he wrote for his wife, right?
I don't know.
Isn't he married to like a supermodel or something?
He was. They're divorced a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
think
have
at
no
the
idea.
time that came out, it was.
Yeah, he was married to Christy Brinkley.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd write songs too if I was married to Christy Brinkley.
And you look like Billy Joel, absolutely. Dude looks like Beetlejuice. Look at him.
Andrew looks like parts of Billy Joel.
Okay, so this evening, my wife and I are watching a little clips of the news, and they're showing some of the destruction from the hurricane in parts of South Florida. And I'm having flashes of like the end of Lethal Weapon, where Riggs is fighting the bad guy in the rain and in the lawn of the house. And I'm thinking, what a fantastic idea to set the jailbreak for our story during a hurricane.
Oh,
Just to
interesting.
add so much, just to add another level of stress and drama. And then here's another twist. What if there's a guy in the jail that can control the weather, that his power is to control the weather, and he's on some major blockers to block his power. And part of the escape attempt is to get him to like multiply the effects of the hurricane. Maybe it's a tropical storm that's coming through, but they get him to manipulate the weather in order to make it into like a level 5 hurricane, and it just smashes into the prison, and all hell breaks loose, and that's what is the catalyst for the jailbreak. Maybe that's part of the jailbreak plan.
Oh yeah,
And
the place is flooding.
one of the ideas was that if it was underground, you'd have waterfalls coming in as people are running around. I mean, it just adds so much another level of drama and peril and excitement. And I don't know.
It's actually that's
I think that
that's
would
pretty
be
interesting, man.
I think that would be a really cool idea. So that's why I wanted to throw it out there.
Hey, Richard's here. Richard says, "Good evening, boys. Hope all is well." How
Hey,
you doing,
Richard, how's it
Welcome. And MK says, "Tropical storm to a Cat 5. Love it." You know what's interesting? You know what that is interesting, and one of the things that I find interesting about it is that tropical storm to a Cat 5. One of the things I think is really interesting about this is, especially since it takes place in New York City, Brooklyn, like New York doesn't get hurricanes, right?
Yeah,
the
but do you
one
remember,
time,
do you remember that recently when a storm went through and the subways flooded and everybody freaking panicked?
That was the second time. I was there the first time when the entire south of the island got flooded.
Yeah.
And they had
buildings collapsed because they weren't made to
the craziest thing, and this is maybe something we could even work in. It was the craziest thing that I saw. I was just like, it was very New York City. So the entire, it was what was the name of the storm? I don't even remember the name of it, but it was it took out the Lower East Side all the way down to Battery. Like the whole southern tip basically of Manhattan was like Wall Street. All of it was underwater, and it was deep. It wasn't like a little puddle. Like people couldn't leave their apartments for like a couple of weeks. And so and then like the art district in Chelsea got blasted as well, but whatever. What was so interesting, Sandy, thank you, Richard. Yeah, it was Sandy. So one of the things that was really interesting that happened is I remember like looking on TV, and I think at that point I was living Upper East Side, I think. So I was in the 60s. So we were safe. But I remember looking at the news, the local news, and they had a reporter, and this is something we could even pull out and use. But they had a reporter standing there at the edge of the water, like you would in any disaster. You know, the reporter always goes to the scene of the disaster, and behind him, he's basically standing right on the edge of where the water goes, and it goes so deep. You know, I mean, couple like 10 feet out, you're swimming in it, right? Like he's just at the edge, and he's talking about how everybody south of the Lower East Side, none of them have power, and they're rescuing. There's rescue stuff going on, but New York City doesn't have boats in the middle of the city. You know what I mean? So it wasn't exactly easy to get people. And so they were like, yeah, there's still like all these high rises and all these people are stuck there and they're trapped and they don't have any power. And, you know, they're going to run out. There was a concern about running out of food because with no power, they don't have food and there's nowhere to go. And in the background, you could see somebody like, I think he had like a little small boat or something. I can't remember if it was his boat or if they were just like swimming through it. But basically what they were doing is they were like going into dumpsters and looking for food because people were like, they hadn't gone outside in several days and they hadn't eaten. And so the reporter was also talking about how they've seen some people going and swimming and trying to like get food and going through dumpsters and stuff. Now, here's the funny thing. This is why I was like, man, this is so New York. It's like, here's a guy on dry land right? And like he's talking, first of all, he's not helping the people behind him that is clearly on camera. Like, yep, you can see someone right now. We had reports that people are going in dumpsters and trying to get food because their power is out. And they can't. Keep in mind, a block away, all the power is on, all the restaurants are open, everything is totally normal. But the people who had the power out didn't know this. So they just were like starving and like staying there and not moving and like going into dumpster diving and stuff. And no one told them that they could just like, there was no like bullhorn that was like, yo, if you just go a block north, you'll be fine on dry land. Like they just stayed there. So I always found it pretty funny, like that you had one part of the city underwater and it was like a disaster area. And certainly there were people trapped, right? I don't want to make light of that. But for the people who could get out and had like little boats or whatever, like they were just swimming to dumpsters and not actually going to dry land and just going north to the diner and having a meal or something. Like they just didn't know. In their minds, the entire island was underwater. In their mind, they thought all of Manhattan had been flooded, so they didn't bother going north, and they had no radio and no TV and no internet. They had nothing to give them information that said, hey, if you just go like, 20 yards that way, you can just dry off and like maybe get a hotel or something. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing to Andrew's point. If you actually create a hurricane in an area like New York that's not used to it, it wouldn't just be the prison that would be all screwed up. It would be like, that entire city gets screwed up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had another thought. Since this story is technically the origin of Cobalt Fox, our current Cobalt Fox, what if other characters also got parts of their origin from this story? What if the reason why Hurricane Steel is called Hurricane Steel is because some event or something that he does during this story gets him the nickname Hurricane? Maybe he does something very heroic, or maybe he gives a speech where, screw this goddamn hurricane, we're just gonna go in there and do it. Something that makes it stands out enough to where that's where he gets his nickname from, is from this jailbreak, this hurricane that affected this jailbreak. Maybe he and one of his teams is the ones that come in to knock down all the villains and keep them from escaping, but our main character and Cobalt Fox are able to get away. And maybe that leads to the manhunt that comes in the next book, the next story. But maybe, I don't know, just the fact that, I don't know, the hurricane inspired me. And I can't wait to see, I can't wait to see visually the fight between our main character and the prison guard, the leader of the prison guards, where he has to end up killing him, and it's raining and the building is crumbling underneath him and there's flooding everywhere. And
you're creating that time clock, right? Sort of that.
Yes.
All of a sudden there's like a countdown where they have to do XYZ or else everyone perishes when time runs out.
Yep.
The bomb goes off and they have 3 seconds to disarm it.
Then
that's
throw
pretty
a hurricane
cool
on top of it and see what happens.
That's pretty cool. That's interesting.
Plus, I love the visual of the prison, the interior of the prison, just having water just pouring down from the ceiling and from the outside, and people panicking and just, I don't know. In my mind, that's some good TV.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that classic. Let me see if I can pull it up. That classic Gil Kane Spider-Man cover where he's
under the rubble.
Well, he's under the rubble, but there's another one where he's under the rubble
with the water coming. Yeah,
but there's one. The cover of that issue is like him in a sewer with water pouring down.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know what issue number it is, but I know which one it is. I know what.
Let me see if I can find it. It's one of his more famous covers. So yeah, there we go. Let's see.
I imagine that being Cobalt Fox, holding up a portion of the prison, saving people, or, because Cobalt Fox would be,
So this cover right here.
He's not really holding anything up, but yeah, he's definitely got
he's not
flooding and so forth. Yeah,
the stuff falling on him in this.
That's a different cover. Here. That's a different one. Yeah,
but yeah, it's I don't know if that was a cover, but that happened in the inside. but yeah, kind of that like, everything kind of falling down around him kind of a thing,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, such a classic, man. I
can see Cobalt Fox in that pose, but it's like the more muscular previous Cobalt Fox in that pose. Oh,
that's a cool looking image, don't you think?
Yeah, dude. There's the cover for.
This the cover for what?
For an issue, because that story, just that first story could be 4 issues.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's think about this. So how would we move forward on that? Like, let me make this a little bigger. So we have the jailbreak. Okay, so
well, I think let's hit the highlights of the story structure following just Nathan, because this is Nathan's story, right? Do we all agree that?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. What's number one? What's the number one piece?
So a character in a zone of comfort. It's the 1970s in New York City. Nathan Ranger, young, naive, idealistic, clean-cut quarterback, rookie cop, cuts the crust off of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Irish
I really
lad.
don't think we have to go through the whole thing all over again. I was just saying, let's high level point each of these pieces.
Got it. Okay, so Nathan Ranger, young,
idealistic cop.
Yeah.
Detective, very good at his job, clean cut, ready. Let's go. What's number 2?
His internal need was that he wants to make his dad proud.
No,
right? Because
the group comes to him and tells him your dad was in prison. He was trying to solve some type of riddle, crime, something. He was killed. We want you to go in there and finish what he started.
Yeah.
And also find out who killed your dad. That's the need. 3.
Right.
What's the next step? We're doing high level here. We're doing high level here.
I will say the only thing I will say is that the only thing we actually need to add in the need section is that there's an internal thing and an external, right? So the external need is, and it can be tied, but I think the external is find the killer, and then the internal is probably.
I think it's the opposite. The internal, his requirement is to find the killer of his dad. The external one is to finish what his dad started, whatever that is.
So I'm going to write that down just so we have it.
Okay, please do.
Internal, find the killer.
Yeah, because that's his own personal agenda.
External.
Finish what his father started in the prison. His dad was in there for a reason. We know that. He was getting to the bottom of something, and it's important.
It's kind of like one of those movies where you discover your father's journal or something, and they were like Tomb Raider kind of had that, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right, go. I'll let you. So you're on a roll with it, Andrew.
All right. What's the third step?
Third step is go. They enter an unfamiliar situation. We both know what that is.
Oh, this one's easy. He goes to the prison and starts to find out that the backstory that they created for him is ruining his life. All the story that they made up in order to get him into the prison is destroying his life. And it's literally the part of the black section underneath the story. People inside the prison hate him and fear him. His friends and family disown him. His old partner reviles him because at the end of the story, his old partner is going to be the main person hunting him down. That's the stage that this happens. This is going, the clock is moving. Right. And the shit just hit the fan, and his whole life is being destroyed right now at this step 3.
Right, and he
thinks tear that apart.
And he thinks he's been completely set up at this point. Why wouldn't he? You know,
I think that's when he realizes I'm fucked. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't mean to use bad language, but there's no other.
Well, it qualifies. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Search. So search is step number 4. We have a lot in search as we introduce all of the different characters.
Yep.
But
we know what happens there, so that's good.
Yeah, we know a lot of stuff. I mean, basically the search part is the exploration of a human being in a supermax prison world of supervillains.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And the world and the the new power structure within that, he has to adjust to it, basically.
Yep.
And we meet the inmates, the therapists, all this kind of stuff. Okay, so find. They find what they wanted. So, in modern storytelling, whatever happens at the find spot is opposite of the ending. So, if the find is a positive, right? If it's really positive, then the ending is a negative. If it looks like the character is winning at this point, right?
Yep.
Then they actually lose, because that's why it says you find it, but then you have to pay the price because they're not out of the woods yet, right?
This is the point where he finds out who the guy is that may have killed his dad, and he now knows this is the person I've got to focus on, but he's also almost impossible to get to. So he's going to spend the rest of the story trying to get to him, and the other half of the story is the jailbreak, the prison riot, the hurricane. Everything is going to start to fall into place and fall apart all at the same time. But the goal is still get to the guy who knows the answers, find him, and find the answers to the questions he's searching for. That's the rest of the story. But the ironic part is that we find out as we go through this is that the person who killed his father was Cobalt Fox, and the person that ordered it was the psychiatrist.
Right.
Who, by the end of the story, he doesn't know any of that. He still doesn't know any of that.
Right. So you have the find is basically he discovers who he needs to talk to.
Yes.
And then now he has to pay the price. He finds the thing and he takes it, but our protagonist must pay the price for taking that. So
right.
That would be that I think would be some of the scenes in that. And we'll have to weave. Go ahead.
In order to get to the guy, he's got to start the prison riot, and this is the point in the story in which he's now doing bad things to survive. You know, he's got to do these things. People are going to die.
Yeah,
people are going to die in a prison riot. That's just common sense. He's not going to be able to hold that back anymore.
Yep.
The fact that he does the killing at the end of the story is his own personal transformation into I forgot what it was. It was organized good, whatever it was. At the end, it was organized criminal or whatever.
Order law, disorder criminal, order criminal.
Yeah. We're now in the disorder criminal stage, which is the whole riot, the whole prison break.
And there's also a lot of MacGyverism that we can add at this part, because he has to, at this point, he becomes more of that criminal. So, it starts with small things.
Remember, he's in a prison full of superpowered beings. He can help use them in order to achieve some of his goals. And Cobalt Fox is probably a key proponent in that, because he knows everybody. He knows what their powers are. He knows which ones they can use to accomplish their goal. Like my idea about him taking one of the guys and throwing him up against the building and having him explode and take half the building out. He knows that's what his power is, and he's going to use that to his advantage. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's a whole litany of superpowered characters that they can take advantage of.
Yeah. The main points. So and we'll have to work on this a little bit, but I think so. They take the take and the paying of the price. This is when the prison break. This is when the hurricane could happen, and it starts a clock for the rest of the beats of the story. We have the Suicide Squad battle arena. That's when they might discover it in that first and that second quadrant in search, because they're searching. They are like, oh, this is part of the world, but they're gonna be fighting in it. They're gonna be fighting in it, probably in the climax of the film, or I call it film, but in that inside of that climactic change, they're gonna be probably fighting in that. That's gonna be the in order to escape, they have to fight their way out of the battle arena that's being flooded with superpowered beings and water, or something, So they've got like
visually it could be very cool.
For sure, it absolutely could be very cool. And then of course, the person kills himself or not, or is killed. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then, so that's basically Take is the prison riots and kind of, starting the process of escaping, I think. Although it feels a little more like Return, because Return would be the prison riot, because that's like they're trying to go back, right? They're going back to where they started, which in this case is get back from this deeper part of the prison to where they started, where his original cell was, past that into escaping out the door. So the Return is really the prison riot. And then Change would really be...
Change is when he has to kill the guard.
Change is when he has to kill the guard.
He becomes the villain, and he saves the life of the psychiatrist.
Yeah, and it's got to be so bad.
On the run. Yeah,
we have to make in this model, it's the prison guard that's the villain of the book, right? It's the prison guard who's got to be we have to set up. If he's gonna kill the prison guard, then we have to set up the prison guard as the big bad guy. I still think it should be the warden. I feel like I
still think the warden being the tool that he was, the tool that we came up with, is good. But I think the prison guard who has the ability to control all the collars and destroy and kill people with the touch of a button is the big bad in this in the overall circumstance. He may not be the most powerful, but he's the one that has everybody's life in his hands at some point.
Yeah, I think the challenge is the only challenge with that is that if you look at how most stories would set that up, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing, I'm just kind of tossing something out. Usually the enforcer, the big, strongest, the one that's doing the most violence, like look at Die Hard, look at pretty much any action movie, the guy second to the big bad. The big bad is always kind of the weaker player, but the smart one, right? The mastermind. And it's that second place player that always gets killed, who is the enforcer, the muscle, he's the boss before the big boss.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So you beat the muscle guy, and then you have to fight the big brain, superpower, whatever. And so I think what could be interesting is if we do kill, if he has to kill the guard, right? So that holds true. He still kills the guard to get to the warden. Maybe we set it up that the warden is like just this Joker like villain, or something like he's a kingpin type, where you set him up like he's a kingpin type. When he's finally alone with the warden for the first time by themselves, it turns out the warden is a complete wimp or something. He's not that persona drops, and he's just like, please don't kill me. Maybe he's begging for his life.
That goes back to the idea of everybody being the opposite of what they are.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's something. Maybe I don't know how it ends, but maybe the therapist comes in and helps Nathan escape, and then turns around, pulls a pistol, and says, "Thank you for your service," or something, and blows the brains out of the warden or something to show that she's the villain, right? Or something like I don't know if that doesn't. That's not totally it, but like we can set it up so that the whole story is leading to a classic, like the warden of the jail is the bad guy, and then at the end you realize that he's not the bad guy. In fact, he wasn't actually the one in charge. It was the therapist.
Right. He was
maybe
just a puppet.
Right. And maybe and maybe Nathan, our lead, doesn't even know that by the end of the book.
Right. No, he doesn't. He can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Richard MK says guard warden, right? We were talking about both those. Julie says, where do I find that diagram of the story structure circle? So Dusty, do we have a picture of the story structure circle in Discord yet?
I don't believe we do.
No, I will post. Julie, that's a great question. What I'll do is I'll make a note and I will post this in our Discord. We have the links to the to this board inside of our Discord. So if you are, I don't know if you're in our Discord, but if you go to here, let me
Lore
see.
Games, the channel Lore Games has all the links for the boards.
Yep, and you can find the Discord from our Twitter at Adult Fantasy NFT, or just go to adultfantasy.io, and then you can kind of lead there. But that's a great question, Julie. I'm going to make a note right now that just says add story circle doc to Discord. And we have the instructions of this entire game that we're playing, because it sounds like we're just throwing stuff out, but it is actually fairly organized. And so I will I know this image is in there, so maybe I'll add that as well. But great question, Julie. Does that help? Let me know. And let's see. MK says, best part of Kingpin is you are led to believe everyone has to fight for Kingpin because he can't. Then you see him in action. Yeah. I like that. And I think the way that we could maybe change that without having such a pure Kingpin. Did you guys see, I don't want to spoil anything, but did you guys see, damn, the name of the series on Amazon, it just came out. It's the one with Chris Pratt. Terminal List.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So if I describe a character, hopefully I'm not giving away spoilers. It doesn't ruin the story or anything. But
I want you to know that I called it. The wife and I were watching the series, and I called it at the beginning, and I said, God, I hope they don't do this. And it's exactly what they did in the end. And I was pissed. Because I liked the character. I was pissed.
I said, so I not only did so this is why I love lore games. And what we're doing here, because it does matter, like calling things like that, because that was a really well written story.
Yeah.
But not only did I call the ending, I called the person before the ending, and I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah.
You know?
And there were hints. They gave hints, and it was obvious. It's like, no, they just confirmed it for me. My wife was like, what are you talking about? I said, just watch.
Awesome.
That part of the story, even though it ended up being good, was disappointing to me because I liked the character.
I did too. But I don't want to get into it. I don't want to spoil it.
No, I know.
But there were big. But the minute they entered that character, I was like, he did it. I was like, there's no other reason for him to do this.
I was like, please don't let him be the one that did it.
Yeah, I know. So, but here's what I'll say. About the show. Everyone should go watch it. If you want to go watch it and you don't want a spoiler, then just like plug your ears for 1 minute. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a character that I want to discuss without naming names. So, okay, 3, 2, 1. All right. So there's a character in there that when the character is introduced is like a Kingpin character. He is just like the baddest of the bad, the hardest of the hard. And when the character was introed, I was like, well, this is weird because it was a real template character. He was just a badass, and he was surrounded by just military, and you're just like, okay, it's obvious this is the bad guy. They set it up. This is the bad guy. Flash forward when it becomes an encounter with the bad guy, and basically all of his bodyguards are killed, because the good guy gets past all the bodyguards. It turns out that this guy is a complete fraud. He doesn't know what to do. He set himself up like this badass military guy and has the training, and he's got like the right tattoos and he looks the part. And like you find out during this fierce battle, he doesn't know how to put a bulletproof vest on. He's never fired a firearm. He's almost crying and like asking people to save him. It was actually really cool. And I think that's kind of like the Warden type, where you can kind of not subvert it just a little bit. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, Andrew?
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you think, Avery?
Perfect.
He's not seen it, so he doesn't know what we're talking about.
He knows the character type, though.
Well,
yeah, he's a poser.
Total poser.
Now, how do you tell people to take their fingers out of their ears to let them know we're not talking about this anymore?
3, 2, 1. Welcome back. How's that?
Is that how you do it? Okay.
That's how you do it.
3,
That's
2,
how you
1.
do it.
Welcome.
Yeah. Let's see. Julie said, yeah, for sure. I think I joined it once and then left, and now I'm going back. Welcome back, Julie. Thank you. We would love to have you. And she says she can find it in the Discord. Cool. And if you ever have a problem, just pop in there and just ping one of us. We're fine. MK says that approach would be excellent. Yeah. So I think that might be. I don't know if we could get that to be a like a M. Night Shyamalan type of twist ending. Like, and I'm not saying we need that. I don't know how big of a twist it would be to have this big bad guy be all of a sudden kind of not be like be a wimp and not be the big bad. But I certainly think that it could bring a little bit more of a conflict to. We'd have to figure out a way to resolve it so that it's not a letdown. You know what I mean? Because you always kind of want this big, huge climactic battle with a big boss or something. Like to MK's point, like, you get, Daredevil gets past all the ninjas and gets past Bullseye and then finds, Wilson Fisk, and then Wilson Fisk just beats the tar out of him because he's so much stronger. Like I think there's a lot of ways we could maybe play without having to make our guy like Kingpin.
Yeah, he was ridiculously stronger and faster than what he thought a big guy could be.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bad beating. Oh, dude.
Right? Classic stuff, man.
Ooh, that was a real bad beating.
Julie has a great question. She says, how do you guys feel when you call out plots and stories in advance? Do you feel the story is better developed when you feel challenged until the end? For me, 100%. Like if I feel like I call something out, then I always feel a little disappointed, because it should fool me. Like it should. If it's really well written, I feel like
if they did it well, it's rewarding that they did that. If they did it wrong, you go, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing.
And it ruins everything. It's like it would have been better to go with what you thought.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. We've seen enough movies, we've seen enough TV shows that when we're watching something new like the Terminal List, you're sitting back and you're enjoying it and you're saying to yourself, okay, there's a twist. There's a character, there's a plot line, there's something that's going to twist. And that's why when I was watching it with the wife, a character was introduced and I'm like, I like this character. He's a cool character. Damn it, they're going to make him the bad guy. I just know it. And I said to the wife, I said, how much you want to bet he's involved in the entire thing?
Yeah.
And it was like,
I think
it was just frustrating because I'd seen enough movies and seen enough TV series to know they're going to do that. It's never just a straightforward ABC. There's always got to be a twist and I said to her, I said, I hope they don't. I hope they don't, because I like this person. Yeah. I like this character.
He was a good character.
Yeah.
You know what? I really like the idea. I wish they had continued with that. I could have seen another series with them, with that relationship there. But you know what? I'll also say this. Like, I think some TV and film and stories, the story doesn't have to be necessarily deep or tricked out to make you not know what's going to happen in the plot. Like, we've all seen enough movies to know,
except Flint.
Except Flint. Flint hasn't seen anything apparently. But we've all seen enough TV and movies to know that the good guy, for the most part, usually wins. If they don't win, that's usually the twist. So the stakes are limited because the hero is going to pull it out in the end. And so I think it's you can inject a lot of elements in there that distract you from that. Like I'll give you an example. Tim Gunn's Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. The plot wasn't complicated. The story wasn't hard. You knew what was going to happen in the end. But there was enough fun story and character development. And again, I'm not bringing up like a deep example of storytelling, but Andrew's rolling his eyes. He didn't like it, but I thought it was
extremely predictable. There was no surprises whatsoever. In the first Suicide Squad movie, where they get to the destination and the one character is there, you're like,
Mhm.
oh shit, you know?
Okay.
There was
Well,
no surprises in the
okay.
second
Well,
one
well
at
then
all
let's flip
like
it to
that.
you. Let's flip it to you. What
Okay.
is a movie or a story or a TV show? What is something where you were like, you know what? I'm pretty much know the plot. It's not exactly the deepest story, but they're doing it so well, and I'm having so much fun. I don't even care.
No, that's not to say that Suicide Squad movie wasn't enjoyable. It was a sit back, turn off your brain, and enjoy it type
And
of
some
movie.
things about it were better than the first.
There were
Mhm.
some things. I like some of the characters more than I like the first one. But then again, the whole opening scene and like 9/10 of the team gets cut down and killed. It's like,
That was funny.
it was funny, but there were some characters in there that could have been developed, you know? But then again, what's the name of the movie, you know?
Right.
But there was not I was not surprised. The whole, when they're going through the jungle and they're like competing against each other, shooting the bad guys, I'm thinking to myself, I bet you these guys aren't bad guys. I bet you they're like good guy rebels. And that's exactly what they were.
Yeah.
That was so predictable. That was
Okay,
so
so let me flip it on you then. What is a movie or a show where you were able to call out the plot and story in advance, right? And it didn't, and instead of bothering you, you're like, ah, I knew it. That's awesome. Like, where you just were like over the moon with it. Or does that not happen? If you call it out, you're just like, screw it.
If I call something out and it follows that path perfectly, it's not enjoyable.
Mm.
I will tell you, I will give you an example of a show that they did something in the middle of the show that blew me away to the point where anytime I rewatch it, it's my favorite episode of the entire series.
Mm.
Did you ever see Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey in True Detectives?
Oh, I have not.
The first series.
That's
Oh
one
my
I know.
freaking God.
I know. I haven't
There's
seen it yet.
literally two parts of the entire story. It's them solving this murder and then them figuring out everything they found out was completely wrong and having to solve it all over again. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but there's literally this one scene where they are going to this location to try to find the bad guy. And the two of them are describing it to other FBI agents, and they're telling their stories, and they're both telling the same story. They're like, yeah, we got there, and all of a sudden there was machine gun fire, and we're ducking left and right. And they're both telling the story at two different times. And you're like, okay, they're both telling the same story. But then you see the story as it happens, and none of what they're saying is true. They're walking into this field and they're walking up to this building and there's nobody shooting. And what you find out at the end is they lied on how they got there and how they did what they did. And years later, when they're being interviewed, they're both still telling the same lie. But the thematic way of which they introduced it is you're watching these two guys in two different places and two different times tell this story, and they're both telling the same story. And then you're watching it happen, and it's nothing like what they're saying. But the fact that they're both on point with their story, you're like, what the hell is going on? And when it finishes, you're like, oh shit, that was fantastic. Because it's just everything fell together. But you're watching it in the point where you go, wait a minute, what they're saying and what they're actually doing is completely different. What the hell? And there's two guys telling, and it just ends up, it's a fantastic freaking episode. Plus you get to see that one girl topless. I mean, that the whole series is worth it for that. But it's a great series. I think True Detectives is probably one of my 3 all-time favorite series.
Yeah. And the Fantastic Four steel bookcase. That's just whenever Andrew starts talking about some movie or something that's really, really good, I just go, well, you do own Fantastic Four steel bookcase.
It is true. We sometimes have to ask because Andrew has a tendency to love every single superhero movie.
I hated Iron Man 3. I did.
Yeah, which I don't understand.
But he still probably owns the steel bookcase. I'm right.
Nerd.
Like he had already seen it in the theater, hated it, and still bought the steel bookcase.
The collector.
You know what's so crazy is there are movies that I either hated or I refuse to rewatch, or I did not like, or there is one movie that absolutely I consider it the scariest movie ever made, and I own it. And why? Because it was a good freaking movie, but it was the scariest movie I'd ever seen in my life.
Without going too deep into it, what movie is that?
The Walk with Gordon Levitt, whatever his name is. It's the one. It's the true story about the guy who tightrope walked between the Twin Towers.
Oh, right. Okay.
I never realized how afraid of heights I was until I saw that movie.
Did you see it in the theater?
No, I refused. I told my wife, we saw the preview in the theater, and I said, there's no way I'm seeing that movie. And I eventually bought it, and we watched it together in our living room.
Yeah.
And I jumped out of my seat so many times. And my wife is like, are you okay? It's like, I can't handle this. I had to stop it. I could not handle it.
Yeah.
It looked so real. And my heart was going to blow out of my chest. It scared the ever living out of me.
It seems like something to make your butthole pucker up a little
Todd, there is a scene in this movie where he literally tightrope walks out on this wire between the Twin Towers. And then he fucking lays down on the wire and lays down on it as birds are flying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, it's the scariest thing in the world. Just thinking about it
puts my scrot up in my throat.
No. Oh. All right. Well, I want to get really quick. I'm curious, Dusty, how do you feel when...
You're not supposed to ask him to quarter till the end.
That's the last 2 minutes. Like, oh, by the way, hey, Dusty, welcome.
What do you think,
I'm
Dusty?
over here.
He's here. He's absorbing. Leave him alone. Don't pick on Dusty. Dusty's fantastic. Don't pick on him.
Okay. I just like looking at his hot dog avatar.
It's a hot dog. A hot dog.
It is a hot dog.
Ooh.
Oh, hot dogs are good.
Let's see. Okay. Well, let's say MK says, agree. I can call out most of Jim Butcher's Dresden File plots. But they are so well done. Doesn't change a thing for me. The story makes it. Yeah, for sure. And Julie says, I wish I could react to the comments on this chat like on Twitter. Yeah, me too. And good. I'm glad we got that question. Awesome. KG says, True Detective's amazing. Yeah, I gotta watch it. You know, it's one of those. It's been on my wanna watch list, and I just haven't had a chance to get to it.
No, that's the first season's absolutely fantastic. The second season, which has the guy from the Terminal List in it, the one that we're talking about,
Chris Pratt.
No, not Chris Pratt.
Oh,
the other guy. Yes,
got it. Okay.
Yes, and what's his name? What's his name as a bad guy? Freaking from Lost World, Jurassic Park, Lost World. He was the photographer. He's in a lot of comedy movies. He was the main character in Dodgeball. I can't remember.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Who?
Vince Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn, yes.
Okay.
He plays a bad guy in the True Detective Series 2, and it was pretty good. Series 3, it was a little... It still had a good ending. They wrapped it up with a good ending, but it was a hard one to watch. So... But from what I understand, they've got a fourth season coming, and I'm like all thrilled. I'm totally thrilled. My other two favorites, just because I said three, Fargo. If you haven't seen the TV series Fargo, it's absolutely fantastic. And Mindhunters is another great one.
Are they going to bring that back?
There's rumors that they're not.
Yeah.
Supposedly season 3 was supposed to be the end, but they
exactly. They need to wrap that up. At least one more season.
They gotta wrap
Fargo?
No, Mindhunters.
Oh, Mindhunters.
Yeah.
It was good. They did 2 seasons, and then something happened, and it got delayed because of some kind of
COVID.
COVID
probably had a lot to do with it.
COVID had something to do with it, plus some kind of scheduling conflict with one of the actors, and it got delayed. Now it's been so long, they may not get a 3rd season.
Well, the one guy, the young FBI agent, he's started to go on and do movies again. He's doing he's in the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, Knock at the Cabin, where he plays a gay guy. I don't know if you've seen that trailer or not, but
yeah.
So Julie says, I love that premise. Is that True Detectives, the 2 lives versus reality one? Yes.
Yes.
And then MK says, LOL, we've totally derailed.
Yeah, totally, completely.
We have been out in the weeds for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. But it's
I
good.
swear,
This-
people don't come here for your silly comics. They come
This
here
is
for
true.
us. You know.
Well, this is what happens. Julie asked a phenomenal question, and that's what's so great about it. Yes, you should try to derail us. It's what makes it fun.
Sometimes the derailing helps us come up with ideas for the story.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And say like this is what happens. You never know the plot of the lore games. Anyway, yeah, we did totally completely derail. So I think
I think this story, we have all the bullet points. We have
think we
everything
do.
we need to make this story work. We just got to fill in all the details.
yep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of questions, like why is he going to the prison? What is the thing his father was looking for? We got to nail that down. We got to figure out what that plot is. We got to figure out a lot of the smaller plots. We know what happens. We know the arc. We need to work on the characters one by one, and we need to work on motivations. And there's a MacGuffin, and we got to figure out what it is, and make it happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. So maybe we'll jump on to the next. We'll just start the next. We got a little bit of time, so maybe we'll just hop on to the next part of the whole like step number 3 of the process.
Well, I have to tell you, coming to you guys with a new idea is so much easier without Zach and Flint here to knock me down. And Avery just agrees with everything I say, so that's why I love it when it's just he and I. So,
Not
Avery?
true. Not true. I don't agree with it.
MK says it was an epic derailment. No shade. Yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
Julie says, "Sorry guys, I'm a derailer disrupt." No, you are absolutely
No, it's
welcome.
fine.
It's,
Yeah, absolutely.
We are all natural derailers. This is what we love to do. In case, please rejoin Discord. You'll be right at home.
Oh, there's going to have to be a villain in the prison called Derailed.
Julie says, "What program am I using for story building?" So this is Notion. So Notion. We were using another program that was specific to this, but this is just a Notion board. Notion is sort of like Google Drive on acid. It's really good, and it just has a Trello like feature, and it's great because you can kind of create some cards and you can move them around, and so we've just found to use that, and it like saves in real time, so we don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Julie says that she's gonna rejoin. She just thought it was another one of her rugs. Yes, we're not a rug. Come back.
We're more of a
Yeah,
magic
Notion is
carpet
awesome.
Than a rug. More of a
What's that,
magic
Dusty?
carpet Than a rug.
What's that, Dusty?
I said we're more of a magic carpet than a rug.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
We're more like,
Yeah.
oh, I see what you did there. That's so nice. A magic carpet.
He steps on stage, says something, and then drops the mic.
I know, it's true. He's
Thanks,
good at
Dusty.
that.
You show us all up.
We work too hard to be a rug. It's too much work. Okay, so maybe we should. Let me give me 1 second. And what I'll do is I'll pop up the next sheet here, or games, and let's see.
Coolio died.
Yeah, I know.
What?
Why the-
Coolio died the other day.
Coolio passed away.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, here we go.
I'm gonna have to retire saying Coolio all the time then.
No, you say it more. Come on.
Absolutely.
I already say it a lot. Instead of just saying cool, I go Coolio.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend, man. All right, so, and I will also get all of these documents and we'll put them all up so that you guys can check them out in real time. So this document is a one sheet for a beat sheet. So the beats are, think of this right here. Think of this as the story structure, just with a little more refinement. And I found just from doing this for a long time that using these tools in this way really helps you like as long as you fill in the blanks, then as you continue to fill in the blanks, you actually get a decent story. The hardest thing to do is just to start either just writing without a guide, or to go to something like this big complex guide, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. So you still have all of your main beats from the story structure circle beats. You just have them broken up a little bit and a little bit more defined. So we'll go ahead and start. So we'll start with opening image, and I will go ahead and I'm going to create a new thing over here, and I'll actually call it, I know I have something called beat sheet, but I'll just call this beat sheet. Key work in progress, and then we can. All right, cool. Opening image. So opening image is the hero's current state, the world before the story. This is we know this because we've talked about it, which is exactly why we do this. And we know that we have the U side. So instead of, and now I know we just did this a minute ago where Andrew was like, hey, let's go through the top line and just kind of go through it. We're basically doing that again, but a little more detailed. So opening image, who is this person? The hero's current state, world before the story. So give me let's get
obviously this is Nathan solving a crime of some type. He's on the job, he's doing what he's doing, but he's solving something. It's got to be something important. Maybe it's maybe he and his partner are on the verge of like knocking on somebody's door and to interview somebody that they think might be involved in some crime, and they come to find out this is the guy they've been looking for and everybody's been looking for. It's like in Seven when they show up at the bad guy's door, and they're able to stop him and arrest him and take him in, but there's been somebody's been doing, like, maybe this is the whole beginning story that we thought that they were investigating some murders that were some heinous murders, and it opens with them solving the crime and becoming the heroes and showing the audience that they're the heroes.
Yeah,
we want them, we imagine them to be. The clean cut all American, solve the crime, and he's very young. He's a detective. He's a new detective, and he's figured the crime out, and they're solving it, and he's capturing the bad guy. And there's got to be some type of struggle to where he actually impresses the audience on what he's able to do and what he does. That's the opening scene. That gets him the attention of the organization, and then after that, they come to him and tell him the setup for the whole entire story. But the opening scene is them capturing a murderer and being the heroes, and the heroes of the city.
Yeah.
Maybe with all the journalists and photographers around, they caught the bad guy. They're the heroes. They're the talk of the town. This is the setup that introduces how great of a person he is.
Yeah, it was a big deal because it was like a Son of Sam meets Goodbye Horses kind of guy.
Yep. I think you nailed it.
Yeah, you're talking to me. See, and I told you, Avery agrees with everything I said.
I wasn't gonna read this, but I guess I have to because it's gonna go right to his head.
Oh,
Julie
no!
says,
Don't tell him. Never say anything nice to Andrew. I swear to God, he'll make you regret it.
Julie says Drew's such a natural. He is a natural. He's very. Let me tell you. Yeah, go on a 16-hour road trip with him and see how.
Yeah, I just fall asleep.
And I talk the entire time, start to finish.
Except if you have like a really good audio book, he'll shut up sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Dude, we listened to Silence of the Lambs and Mr. Be Gone like twice one time.
No, it was Manhunter.
Manhunter, yeah.
The original one, yeah.
Oh, dude, so good.
Good book.
You know what? Mr. Be Gone was good too. I've listened to that again recently.
Yes.
Like, I really like that book.
It actually led to an idea in which I had an idea where a demon was trapped in a comic book. And it was a very similar. You open it up, and the guys and the demons talking to the reader, saying, "Hey, destroy this comic. Don't read it. And then tells the story of how he got caught how he got trapped in the comic. Yeah, it never went anywhere, but it was an idea that started because of, Todd, we're in our own little world. Sorry, you got to pull. You got to drag us back in.
It's good. I'm looking. So I'm looking at the setup for the initial image, right? For the first image, and because I have some other notes here, and I'm just kind of, I always look at and remind myself. So opening image, it's also the setup, right? And well, I guess the setup is coming a little next, but
this is the introduction to, because remember in Blood and Metal, it was the introduction of the primordial. It was the asteroid coming down. This is the introduction to Nathan and who he is and what his character is.
Yeah. Well, the setup, the theme stated is usually, if this is a script, if you think about this as a movie script, and a movie script being a page a minute, so a normal movie script is about 120 pages. The setup is the page 1 to page 10, even though it has we listed at number 3. Mm-hmm. The theme stated is usually in the middle of that. So the setup, to your point, Andrew, is the introduction of the hero. The opening image, I think we kind of did a lot of that. Because that's the first thing you see. That's what you open on, right? The setup is the intro to the hero, and so we'll dive into who he is as a person, his homework and play, which we're about to do. But also, one of the things that happens during that setup phase is that the villain appears, and this is kind of like a kind of blasting into the hero's personal domain and shattering his pretensions, propelling him into action. So for an example, let's see, an example would be in Avengers, Nick Fury and Dr. Selvig are trying to figure out why the cube is acting up when it suddenly opens a portal and deposits Loki, the movie's nemesis. Loki immediately kills several guards and scientists, magically turns Dr. Selvig and Agent Barton to his side, and seals the cube. So we don't.
I got away.
Okay.
We don't know who the villain is in this story just yet, but it focuses around the prison.
Yeah.
Okay. The prison is the catalyst for the bad guy.
You're going exactly where I was thinking you were going to go. Where I wanted.
When they arrest this guy, he's a super villain, and they're going to send him to that prison. Or that's where the prison. Or that's. Oh, fucking A! You got it. That's perfect. Yeah. And that sets up the prison as a focal point for the story. Boop.
That's right.
Way to work together. Don't you agree, Avery?
Just want you to agree with them. It's a setup.
No, it's terrible. I hate it.
Well, the only thing I've got to say is, Dusty, better shut up, or I'm going to get mad because he keeps interrupting. I'm sorry.
I'm just happy to see. I'm agreeing so much because I'm happy to see Andrew out of his shell and only writing like little animal stuff. Like he's been in all ages land for a very long time.
That is kind of true.
Yeah,
it's exactly true.
All right, that's a good setup for work. And then, so the theme stated, and we'll dive into homework and play a little bit here in a second, but the theme stated, it's almost always good versus evil in like a superhero context.
Mm-hmm.
But really, this is sort of this is something that one of the characters says. It's not the hero. It's usually said to the hero. And it's really what the entire quote unquote movie is about. And usually it has like a subtext meaning that you really won't understand until much later. So for example, and this might come also in the debate section.
It's like great responsibility type thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And in Avengers, it's Loki telling Agent Fury, freedom is life's great lie. You were born to be ruled.
Yeah.
right?
about
That
how
sets
about
up the entire thing about freedom versus subjugation.
how about this? When they capture this bad guy who is the escaped prisoner from the jail, he has a moment with the two detectives where he literally begs them, "Please don't send me back to the jail. They'll kill me there. They'll torture." He gives them some type of clue of the bad stuff that goes on there, and
Yeah.
kind of sets up the whole.
Don't drop the soap.
What would if we were going to frame that as like a character saying, like, what would he say? Because you don't want to say, "Please, they'll kill me" or something. Like, what the theme of the, like, this is also always a little challenging because you want it to be kind of witty and kind of deep, but not necessarily understood until much later on, right?
Maybe he's like a badass, and when they arrest him, he's like all just shit and vinegar, he's mean and nasty, and then somebody mentions the prison he's going to, maybe they're going to send him back, and all of a sudden he becomes a whimpering wimp, scared to death to go back there. Maybe it's something as simple as that.
Yeah, so maybe we'll say I'm going to put good versus evil because that's usually what it is in some regard. But in terms of what the quote is, we'll have to figure that out. But maybe it's like a whimpering fear, a fear of the known or something. Like instead of fear of the unknown, it's actually you're maybe flipping it or something.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go back in the pit.
Right.
Don't send me back to the pit. Oh yeah, that would be great. And Nathan's like, what the hell is the pit? Has no clue what it is.
What is
because it's a secret. It's a secret prison.
MK says. Let's see. Julie says, "You guys better sell out this movie so I can feel accomplished after contributing to Andrew's good mood."
You didn't read her quote beforehand.
Well, she said that was amazing. Yeah. Well, I was skipping that
because she was talking about me.
Yeah. MK says, "Have him say that place is not what you think." That can be. Yeah.
Yeah. And then scream the whole pit line as they're dragging him away. One of the last things they can hear.
Yeah, I think we'll work on that. This is one of those things where it's like, this is where your classic lines come from a lot of times. Like, it'll tear your soul apart from Hellraiser or stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you get these, you get these, yes, classic, right? You get these kind of iconic things. It's not exactly easy, but I think
no tears. It's a waste of good suffering.
Right. every knows the movie by heart.
I love Hellraiser. I love
it. So good. I'm not gonna sidebar us, but are you getting excited for the
new one? Show? God, yeah. I hope it's good. The Hulu Hellraiser. Mm-hmm. I hope it's good.
It looks really good.
It does. I'm like, judging by the trailer, I'm excited, and I usually don't let myself get excited for things because usually they ruin it.
Yeah.
But it got me. I'm looking forward to it. October 7th, yes.
Yeah. MK is ready for it.
Yeah, I'm so ready for it. Dude, one of the things I've been putting in AI things for it, I've been putting on like Cenobite Hellraiser.
Oh, nice.
Like playing with stuff like just see what it comes up with.
Yeah, KG Pinhead is one of the all-time great characters, cinematic characters for sure. All right, so we're still introducing the character Nathan.
Cenobites do look good.
Let's see the setup. So we know about his work because we actually tied his work into the opening scene, which I think is totally good. And I think really inside of the work, we can actually, that's where we can put, and I'm not going to do it the second, but we could really put solves his first big major crime. I mean, we could actually put like, he's a hero, the city loves him. That would kind of fit into here.
Actually, they
actually, you know what? That could actually be, in fact, that actually could go into play. Now that I think about it, because we want to kind of do the whole like homework and play just to kind of give a character kind of some dimension. Right? He's a hero so he's going out with this girl or something. We'll introduce something like that. Julie says, is DALL-E 2 still unavailable? It is. Julie says, what AI bot do you guys use? I primarily use Midjourney. I love Midjourney. I've been able to really kind of bend it to my prompting will. So I'm getting really good results. I haven't played with DALL-E 2. I have an invite. I've got, if you just go to the site and it's like, oh, we're not open yet. But if you just put your email in, you actually get invited in like 2 or 3 days.
I haven't been using Midjourney because I don't want to pay. So I've been using 2 free ones on my phone, Wonder and Dream.
Yeah, those are both pretty good. The what I've seen a lot of people do with DALL-E is, and again, I know without going too sidebar here, but is that they'll do their render, they'll do their generation inside of Midjourney, and then if there's anything that they need to fix, like the hands or the face, they'll pop it over to DALL-E, and inside DALL-E, they'll actually have DALL-E re-render the face and re-render the hands, and because DALL-E has more of a realistic touch to it, it can actually sometimes kind of fix that stuff up.
Wow.
Yeah. Julie says, thanks, studio.
Because I've showed you guys stuff where I'm just taking different things from different AIs that are, different images I created with an AI, combining them and then painting on top in Photoshop.
Yep. It's going to be great. It's really good. It's really good stuff.
And I've been heavily using it for designs and stuff and set designs for my comic.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good tool. What is Nathan's home life like? What's his home like? Like,
young guy, engaged, not married yet.
We said he was like organized and clean, not OCD, but close.
Yeah.
Right.
Orderly, very orderly.
We said that he takes cuts crust off of
his
PB&J.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good thing. Zach liked that a lot. Is there anything else about his home life? I mean, this would be when if he's engaged, we're gonna meet his fiance, which is great because when he's a hero all of a sudden right now, and then when he becomes the citywide villain for being blamed for this classic murder of the city, she's gonna dump him. I mean, his life is going to be changed dramatically forever.
Basically, she is a John Romita Sr. Gwen Stacy.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yep.
Gotcha. Very good.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So the John Romita Sr. Gwen Stacy is basically the classic 1960s Gwen Stacy. Yeah.
Which would work in the 70s, that look.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good question. Julie says, how do you guys choose who gets to describe something? How come Andrew didn't get to describe Nate's home life and studio did? I'm seriously asking about collaboration and teamwork. Honestly, so the way we've structured this, the very first, if I'll zoom out just real quick without going too deep into stuff. So when we start this, we have this section called Microscope, and this is based off of a game called Microscope. It's an RPG, and we modified it for storytelling purposes. But with this, when we do the Microscope phase, everybody takes turns. And it's basically nothing is really off limits when people put stuff up. When people present stuff, we just put it on, and it's just putting things on the idea board. And so everybody gets a turn and everybody sets stuff up and everybody can contribute. And it's a very, very structured game. Once we get to the story circle, what we found is that it's easier to go through sequentially. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we found after doing this for a while that it's easier just to let people throw stuff out when they feel like it. So if Andrew has an idea for something, he's more than welcome to put it out, but there's also no pressure to be like, Andrew, tell us what it's because it's a more focused task. If someone doesn't have an idea, you don't want to kind of put them on the spot. So it's really open. And so that's kind of continues into the beat sheet. Once we have the beat sheet, we have enough to go on. So it gets a little easier. I think the hardest part is actually the story circle. Finding those 8 points is actually like kind of tough. But once you get those 8 points down, the story is kind of in your head. So doing what we're doing now, like if I said, Andrew, what do you think about something for describing Nathan's home life? What do you think we should add? Like I know he'll have something. So
honestly, the truth was I was eating a Pop-Tart, so I was keeping my mouth shut and on mute, so I wasn't saying anything. So that's the truth. But
so what we've learned tonight, Julie, is that the only reason Andrew didn't have an answer was because he was eating a Pop-Tart.
I was eating a Pop-Tart. But no, there was nothing that you guys were saying that I did not disagree with. Everything you said, I visually saw, and I'm with you 100%. Cool. Trust me, if I had a different way or a alternate idea, I'd speak out. Awesome. I'd have to tell Dusty to shut up. Let me talk.
Dusty, do you have anything for Nathan's home life or work life? No pressure.
I love the idea of the Gwen Stacy character in here. And I love the fact that when he goes to prison, that entire relationship is going to be utterly destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to lose. He's going to lose her big time. And I don't know in my mind at this point if he'll ever get her back. I think they're going to set him up so horrifically, he will never get her back.
I think he has to lose everything to end up becoming the criminal.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Like they're rebuilding him to be, and I mean it almost sets up. So okay, here's something. The original name of
I disagree. I'm sorry.
So the original name of this the way this actual story started was with the title The Cult.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we and without going too deep into that ties into what happened in our very first season with the storyline Blood and Metal. So what if, and we haven't really talked about the cult, what if it's this? And I'm actually excited about this. What if we talk about the agency, and basically this agency is setting him up. I mean, they're destroying his life to make him this criminal. What if it is actually the cult of Cobalt Fox?
Ooh,
sure.
Well, right? Well we always said
it's not necessarily. Offshoots. Yeah, it's not necessarily about Cobalt Fox, but they need that force to be out there. And the current one has served his purpose and has decided not to do the job anymore. So it's kind of like a Moon Knight kind of a thing, right? Like the Moon Knight series. So the cult is still tied. It's exactly what we were suggesting in Blood and Metal. It's just that in this story, and we could even call it the cult, and you're like, why is this thing called a cult? You don't even like, there's nothing cult-like into it, except there is, because you find out maybe towards the end that basically the cult has set up the entire thing from the beginning, and it's the agency.
Because they picked him, and they're like, we want you. We're going to put you in prison next to Cobalt Fox because we want you to be. That's right.
And so I'm actually going to catalyst.
What if the psychiatrist is leading her own offshoot of the cult? And that's one of the reasons why the dad was sent in.
Oh yeah, she's a rogue offshoot.
Oh yeah, kind of like in the Mission Impossible movies, you have the anti-MIF,
Mhm.
You know, you had the bad MIF. Maybe this is the bad cult, the beginnings of the bad cult.
Or she's the leader of a different sect.
Right, but still.
And the cult of that, the agency cult, is actually opposed to the other cult. We're starting to move the pieces together, right? Because we talked about in Blood and Metal how, because of the stretch of time from our original story to this story, it's been generations and generations and generations. So these different agencies, most of the people don't even necessarily know that they're connected, maybe. And they might actually be rivals in a lot of sense, right? Like two warring factions within a giant department. So you have like, maybe she's a figurehead of a warring tribe, more or less, against Julie says the Rebel Alliance versus the Resistance. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. But they could also both be bad, right? They don't even have to be good.
Yep.
But okay, so let's.
You know what? If this story gets done as a comic, you have to draw it in your best John Romita Senior style.
like classic. That would be awesome, man.
And
that would be so much fun.
I will ink it and color it. And I'll ink it almost all with brush. All the characters.
Dude, you do your best, Joe Sinnott.
Yes, it will all. Do it sort of a little bit of John Media Senior and a little bit of John Buscema, and I'll ink all the characters in brush.
That would be.
And every time you finish a page and you share it with me, I'll clap and pat you on your head and tell you did a good job.
That's great. Okay, let's see. So home, we got Gwen Stacy. Work. So at work, the murderer had escaped the Supermax super prison. So we know that. Is there anything about the work? I think the other thing is we haven't actually introduced inside of home or work the notion of his father. So his father, I feel like his father overlaps at both home and work a little bit, because at home, you would maybe see pictures on the wall of his dad or in his family, like close to family.
Sure.
Especially his father.
He would even have a board up about the murder.
Oh, he's not murdered, remember? He doesn't know about it at this point. Maybe.
That he would have something up about the death of his dad.
Maybe. It'd be more of like, I think it would be more of like a memorial on the positive side. Like I have one of my, like a news clip of my grandfather, like, a few years before he passed, where he was like being written about as being a lawyer or something. So it could be like a, something like that. See, and then set up and work. The murderer had escaped the Supermax prison. Is there anything more about work? So the other thing about work is we really need to intro more about his partner relationship.
Right. Him being the young gun and his partner being the old, seasoned professional.
Maybe even knew his father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is someone yeah, that's kind of hardcore. Like, because you're throwing, like, you're really destroying his life, because you've got his fiance is going to leave him, and this partner is not only going to be the one to hunt him down, but this partner is going to be like a family friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, which is pretty hardcore. Family friend. What else? Is there anything else that we need to introduce at work that would.
Well, you could introduce like the captain, like his boss, who's like really proud of him, and when he goes to prison and they set him up for all these murders, he's just totally disgusted with him. But that's, everybody's going to have that reaction.
Yeah,
but
you're gonna. And I think it's more acute with the family friend partner.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the setup. What you could do is kind of, you could say, where is it? He solved his first big major crime, and so at work, you could say a precinct celebrates him for solving a major crime or something. That way you kind of do that way. That would be a way to introduce like tertiary characters, right? Like you get to meet the police chief or other people in the department, but it's really not their job is not to be characters in the future of the story. Really, their job is to praise our main character for the job he did on the case, which moves the story forward.
Right.
We're building this character up like, yeah, oh my God, you're just the best. And then play, he's a hero for solving the crime. City loves him. So he goes out, you could have a scene. We don't have to do this right now, but you could have like a dinner scene with fiance, right? Please. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, like they're at the dinner and people are like, "Hey, can I get your picture?" It's like a mini celebrity, like micro celeb. Because and of course this is the world. We can bring in a little bit of comics in there. So like when the superhero saves the day, everybody cheers the hero. When Superman flies down and lands, everyone's like, "Yay!" And so you could have kind of like a micro dose of that, and even kind of call attention to it. I don't know if we know if superheroes exist at this time period, but if they do, they could even make jokes about it, like, "Oh, look, you're a regular, whatever the equivalent of Captain America is,
Yeah.
right?"
Okay.
So and is there anything else at play? Is it just like dinner and kind of like being with his fiance, planning the wedding? That's kind of a home thing, but
I had an idea maybe for a little bit more for work.
Who's this? Somebody speaking up?
I'm trying, okay? Cut me some slack. This is very challenging.
Guys, you don't realize it because he has his camera off, but he's flicking me off right now. Sorry,
Okay.
Go ahead. I don't mean to disrupt you.
Okay, so they solve this murder, right?
Mhm.
And Nathan gets like all the praise. So maybe his partner feels like left out. Why didn't his partner get any praise, right? So maybe that's part of what starts to drive a wedge. Like you won't even give him the benefit of the doubt that he's the murderer. Like, when he gets sent to prison and blamed for murder, his partner doesn't even give him the benefit of the doubt because he's angry for being. He didn't get the recognition he deserved.
Oh! You know what? That actually is really great. You know what? His character flaw, because we haven't actually set up the character's flaws yet, which are like the 6 things that need fixing. Because no character's perfect, but one of them is he's kind of like bullheaded, right? He's bullheaded a little bit. So what happens is tends to rush in without thinking. And the reason that's important is because he kind of can he kind of rushes in and saves the day, to Dusty's point, right? So he's getting the credit even though he broke the rules. Right? So and that kind of sets up.
What if their actions saved the day and caught the bad guy, but they could easily have been at the wrong door and grabbed the wrong person?
Right.
He just got really, really lucky. He jumped the gun and he got lucky.
Right.
Oh yeah. He's not perfect, but it worked out for him this time.
Right. And that way when at work, you've got the seasoned pro and proud of him, but
realizes it could have gone south very bad. Maybe he brings that up to him and he kind of dismisses him a little bit. Maybe that causes a little bit of a wedge.
that right there is the theme of the story. But whatever his partner says is the theme. Do you see what I mean? He's gonna say, he can pull him aside and say, "Hey, look, kid, you did a good job, but one day, Jack's gonna fall down and break his crown." You know what I mean? Like one day, you're gonna jump over the candlestick and burn your britches. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something like
Yeah,
what's the thing about flying too close to the sun? Blah, 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 blah.
No,
I'm too much of a comic nerd. I want to say Cerebus, and it's not Cerebus. It's not Cupid, is it? It's
No, I know who you're talking about, but
Icarus.
Icarus.
Yeah.
But no, he'd say something along the lines of, one day you're going to kick in the wrong door and somebody's going to like blow your head off because you ran in ahead. You ran in without thinking. You ran in ahead. And this time it worked out for you. You caught the bad guy and you're the hero of the city. But one of these days you're going to kick in the wrong door. You're going to step into the line of fire.
And become the victim.
Well, in this case, he volunteers to go to this prison, not realizing that he just kicked in the wrong door and his whole life is getting ruined. Because we're going to him up while he's in there.
Well, not become the victim, become the villain.
Well,
bad guy. Well, it's like one day you're going to kick in the wrong door. Because if you kick in the wrong door, you're basically like at fault. I mean, you're the bad guy.
Yeah, happens all the time with these no-knock raids. They get the wrong place and bust in and kill somebody who is not who they're looking for.
That's very current real world themes.
Yeah.
Maybe back then, kicking in a door, you could cover it up. LA Confidential style,
Mm-hmm.
But one of these days you're going to kick in the wrong door and you're no longer going to be on the side of the right or the side of, you kick in the wrong door and the blue wall can't protect you anymore or something, something like that. But you're right. That's a good idea for a theme. We need Zach here to put words to it.
Ain't no one gonna come and save the fallen righteous? Something like that. It's just flavor right now. But it gives an idea.
Flavor!
Awesome. So we have some really good stuff for the setup. Let's try to get through. We have a few minutes left. So let's try to get through at least Catalyst, and if we can, maybe Catalyst and the debate. If we can't do debate, because debate has a little bit of depth to it, we can at least get through Catalyst. So Catalyst is stasis equals death, meaning you cannot stay the same, you must change. So the hero loses the safety of their current state. Something is done to the hero. And to give that a little more depth, the catalyst is the summon to greatness. The superhero catalyst is specifically tailored to the hero. For an eager hero, it often appeals to both his greatest internal need and his biggest external need at the same time, and serves to draw him forward as a willing participant. That's the eager hero. For a reluctant hero, the catalyst feels bigger than anything he thinks he can handle and scares him off. In Star Wars, Luke Skywalker's uncle buys 2 droids, one of which carries a secret message from a rebel princess to Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke's biggest desire is to run away and join the rebellion, while his biggest need is to know his father, something he will be introduced to through Obi-Wan. In The Matrix, when Neo receives Morpheus's phone call warning that the agents are coming, Morpheus urges Neo to escape out the window, onto a ledge, and into a window washing rig. Since one wrong step would mean a very long fall and instant death at the bottom, Neo decides it's too risky and lets himself be captured instead. So the catalyst is something happening to the hero that kind of forces him into action. He hasn't decided whether he hasn't taken the red pill versus the blue pill yet. But he hasn't debated whether he's actually going to move forward. But something happens to kind of look. Let's ask: is he an eager hero or is he a reluctant hero?
I think he's definitely an eager hero.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever been reluctant.
No, he wants to be like his dad and restore his dad's reputation.
Yeah, and I think this catalyst is the organization coming to him and giving him the offer to go to the prison, complete his dad's mission, and in his mind, it's a way of completing both the external and internal themes, which is figure out his father's killer, avenge his father, and solve the crime or whatever the dad was in there for in the first place. Yeah. This is his choice. This is his choice. They're bringing it to him. They're saying, take this, do this, or don't do this. But this is your opportunity, and he does it. He chooses.
Yeah, and I think this is also the part where there's a little bit of that movie, The Game, like we talked about, a little bit of that element where it's not just. I think the thing that we have to figure out, maybe we save this for next time, is what does that? I think we need to define what that interaction looks like, because I think I imagine there's a couple ways we can go with how the agency kind of brings him in. The first way is the Men in Black way, which is also the Kingsman way, where you get the call to go, and then there's the debate. But basically what ends up happening is the first part of that new world is going through the training, right? Where you see inside of Men in Black, you see the Kingsman, there's that training phase, right? And we're going to have that training phase too at some point. So, because you need to establish the agency in more than one scene, especially if it's going to be a major thing. So that's the first part. The other way you could do it is something like The Game, where the catalyst is the brother giving the main character sort of like the birthday present, and then he basically debates whether he's going to even contact. Like, he has to make the decision to contact the company, the organization. And so it's a homework and play debate. And he finally decides to do it as a play. And that's when, and then, what's really cool about the way the Game played it as a movie was he goes in and he's like, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's a game. And he's just like, I don't get it. And he goes through this battery of tests like all day to the point of exhaustion, to the point where it almost even feels like they're just screwing with him, just test after test until he's exhausted. And then I hope I'm not spoiling this, but basically they call him up and they say, sorry, you didn't qualify. We appreciate you coming with us though. And he's like, wait, what? And that him getting denied actually makes him want it more. And then all the stuff starts to happen. Right? And so it's really, really a cool setup. So I think that's maybe something we could play with. Like, I love the idea that there's a little bit of a game-like element where even when he gets into that prison, there's going to be things and tokens, almost like it's late. My brain is not working. Disney, Cheshire Cat. Oh my God.
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, where as Alice is going through Wonderland, there's all these different little drink me, right? Like all of the little things that are almost put there by this system so that she's moving forward. So I kind of like that kind of concept. So does that kind of make sense? Sure.
It's an orchestrated thing he's put through.
Yeah, it's totally orchestrated. And maybe maybe he doesn't have a choice. Maybe he goes to this agency thing and does the interview, kind of debates whether he's going to do it or not, because he has everything he's wanted. He knows it's going to have to. He debates whether he's going to basically meet with the agency people. And then when he does, maybe it's something similar to where they actually like do the test and everything. And then I don't know if they deny him, because that's kind of straight out of the game, but he meets with them and it seems like it's going to be good. And then at home or something, he gets arrested.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah,
Like he didn't. There's no
confirmation call. You're in. You're just thrown in the middle of it.
Right. All of a sudden, he's been arrested for murder, and they're like evidence.
What if they tell him that they're going to get him into the prison as a prison guard, and then they decide he needs a different type of access? Let's send him in as a
they don't tell
criminal,
him
but they don't tell him that's what they're going to do.
Have them not tell him anything.
Oh, that's
they don't tell him anything.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they tell him anything.
He's told, we'll get you into the prison. More about that later. And later is they just throw him right in the fire.
Maybe he thinks, or it's implied that he thinks he's going in as a guard. He's going to get employed there. Maybe.
Well, see, I don't think you. I don't. How about this? The whole thing is like these are like basically like agency is like secret missions, right? So like so let me see. They're just like father's secret mission. So he knows, that's all he knows. That but it also means a life change. You know what I mean? Basically it's sort of like kind of like Black Ops. There's secrecy involved or something, maybe our agents have to change their life, or I don't know how much we have to give away, right? But basically he's like, once he accepts after debating the break into two, like is that Nate gets arrested. Like oops, like he doesn't even like know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to tell him, hey, we're going to get you into the prison. He's just like, hey, we're going to send you on secret missions, and he's like, cool. And then all of a sudden he's getting arrested for a murder, for a brutal murder.
And they don't tell him anything because, well, they need his reactions to be
that's right,
truthful. He's not acting like a criminal or acting like a guard. He's in that situation and he has to survive to find what they want.
Right. And we also have established through the story circle that this agency has no plans of making it right either.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be like, oh, we're going to make you out to be a murderer, and after your mission's over, we're going to fix it for you. Like this is permanent. Like he's a murderer.
Plus he's going to have to do things he'll be guilty of anyway when he comes up.
Right. And everything that he's going to be doing is going to reinforce the fact that he's the killer.
Yeah.
Up to the point of actually killing somebody. Right. He becomes the killer.
I like it.
Yep. Keep going.
Awesome.
Or wrap up.
It's up to you guys. I think we should probably wrap it. I think it's good.
Wrap it up.
Unless there's anything else we want to pop in there before we call it.
It's now time to let Dusty talk.
Dusty, tell us your ideas.
Dusty?
What do you think?
Y'all just got to put me on the spot, don't you?
Yes.
Take it away,
So-
Dusty.
I did have an idea, actually.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Go for it.
So they're doing like all this testing on him, right? And what if, instead of like telling him we're going to send you on your secret mission, they're pretty much just kind of cold shouldering to him and like, we'll call you if we need you, right? Like, so he doesn't even know that he's going to necessarily be sent. That maybe he's just maybe he's in the running to join this agency on some secret missions, and then they abduct him or get him arrested for murder. So kind of the last thing he hears from them is, yeah, we'll call you if we decide we need you, and then they just kind of ambush him.
Right. Yeah, I like that. KG says, "Go Dusty." I like that. I like how. I think it's great if if we set it up that he's getting the opportunity because he's a hero, right? Like they're setting it up like, hey, you're a hero, so we're going to give you this opportunity. And so I think it benefits our story if it feels like it fell apart, if it falls apart, and is taken away. And so that way, because if you're reading it and he's arrested for murder and you don't know what's going on, and then he clearly loses his job. He clearly is going to be losing his wife or fiance. He's going to lose his partner, who is his mentor and a family friend. And he's also going to lose the quote unquote job of a lifetime. And what you don't know just yet, and that we learn through the story, is that job of the lifetime is actually this whole, like, the whole thing that's happening to him is because he decided to do this. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe, likewise, the thing that was so good about the game as a finale was the final scene is so good and it comes together so well. And it really does bring, in one scene, it brings everything back to the beginning and everything is kind of back and normal and save the day kind of thing. It's really brilliant. And I'm wondering if there's, I'm going to think about this. I'm wonder if there's a way for us to bring him back. He's not going to be the same person. He's going to be a criminal, but maybe it's actually like the end of the story. The agency picks him up outside of the prison gates and shakes his hand, and they go away on a black helicopter or something. They shake his hand and they say, "Welcome to the agency."
Yeah, but how does that lead to him on the run being a hunted criminal?
I don't know. I'm just saying,
maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the original plan, but he doesn't go that way.
Yeah. I think there's yeah.
Maybe because they screwed him up so bad, he at that point says, "Screw you all, and we're out of here." Maybe beats the guys up and steals the car or something.
Maybe that's the villain part. Maybe he has to kill the bad guy. He kills the maybe that's who he kills.
No, he's killing the prison guard to save Cobalt Fox's life. Damn it, don't be changing my story. This is not the time for Todd to step in and rewrite.
Oh. Oh.
Whoa, look at the sack
Very
on
well.
Andrew.
Very well. Oh, look at the time.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, no, let's go. Guys, thank you so much. This is fantastic. Like, we're getting into it. It's really amazing once we get to this point. Things just kind of fall into place a little bit. I feel like I can see the first act already very, very clearly in my head. With a couple things. MK says something. MK says, if you guys have a few minutes after we wrap up, would love to hear more on Avery's method for using the AIs, then following up with doing art overlay, if I heard right. Oh, sure. Avery, do you want to talk a little bit about your process?
Sure. What I do with the AI is, I'll start putting in ideas, different ways to describe what I'm thinking about, and I'll just get a bunch of things, whether I like them or not. If there's one piece of it that I like, I save it. And then I put it together in Photoshop, a lot like doing photo manipulation, because I used to do that kind of stuff too, like mix my drawings with photographs and stuff. And it's the exact same process. It is and then I just sort of photo bash everything together and start painting on top of it in Photoshop, like, using it as an underpainting, or if I was doing photo manipulation. Because
Do you have any? Just, I mean, if you don't know, no pressure. Do you have anything that you can publicly share?
Sure, let me bring up Photoshop. I'll show that drawing. It won't spoil anything if people hear it.
Awesome. Cool. Julie says, "Oh, it was Studio equals Avery." Yep.
Yes.
Here, I'm gonna remove this from desktop. That way, Avery can share his art. You guys are getting a sneak peek. Are you gonna share the illustration that I know of, the one with the tiger?
No.
Okay. Do 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 do. Clap. Hercules. Oh man, I love all the nerd references. It's so good.
It wasn't in my
Julie says Avery's PFP is scary as fuck. That's Avery's art. That's one of his characters.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that character?
Wendigo Black.
I believe that's the comic you're working on, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm developing it and doing character creations. I'm just trying to find an image I did, and I can't find it because the character has multiple forms. Nope. Where?
Well, maybe we can post it in Discord.
I accidentally closed Photoshop for some reason.
No worries. MK says, "Ooh, awesome, sweet name, Wendigo Black." Yeah, that's a cool name.
But he's not actually a Wendigo. He's just called that because people tend to call things what they know,
Mm-hmm.
So people in that area.
MK says, "It's okay. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, man. Just sounded fascinating."
Okay. I found it.
Awesome.
So this is like 4 different things mashed together.
I can't wait to see this. I don't think I've seen this. Ooh, let's see.
It's like 4 different AI things smashed together that I painted on top of real quick, just to have some, like, doing this in an hour and a half, or at about an hour to an hour and a half, to have my first draft of this form of the character.
Can you zoom in a little bit? Can you
this form?
Can you zoom in a little bit to like the face and kind of like, oh, look at that, dude. Oh,
this is sick. This is the character. The spirit that inhabits this person has different forms it takes, and when it takes this form, it can burn up its host, so to speak.
Oh wow, look at that.
And this is just a bunch of stuff I just smashed together basically in Photoshop.
Well, wait a minute now. So just so that MK and Julie and everybody else knows, when Avery just says, "Well, I just smashed it together in Photoshop," like Avery knows what the hell he's doing. So it's not like he's just like tossing a couple of images in there. Like that's some work.
Yeah, but I just, you know, I clipped the skull from one of my drawings of Wendigo Black.
Mhm.
The fire thing from the sword is piece from another piece. The wing is from another AI piece. The background is another. All this was from something else that AI generated, and I just sort of just mashed it and blended it together and smudged it around and paint and drew on top of it.
Right. It did a lot of work.
Well,
MK,
only like an hour to an hour and a half's worth of work.
yeah. For an hour or two for Avery. MK says wicked. KG says amazing. And then MK is like, yeah, it kind of sense that. Yeah, it's like, oh, I just took this thing and just put it in Photoshop and didn't do much. And then
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh,
Well, I've only been using Photoshop for like 15, 20 years.
That's right. MK says it's like saying Usain Bolt likes to run on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went for a nice jog.
Yeah, I've been using Photoshop for a long time.
Yeah, that's freaking dope, dude. That looks so good. Oh my god.
Thank you. Yeah, but this is his final form. It's the one that will pretty much kill the host if he takes it.
That's
You don't have to find a new host.
This is gonna look so. I can't wait to.
Except I may use flashes of it, like if someone, a villain or a creature he's fighting might see it for a second as they die or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because we're not gonna outright use words and say what he really is. It's going to be inferred that eventually you'll just catch on, like, oh.
Let's see. Julie says, "Wow, you guys are amazing. I use Photoshop a lot. This is super inspiring that you use different AI generations as layers."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
yeah, just combine the stuff the same way you would doing photo manipulation, you know, and just draw and paint on top.
You just gave me an idea, Avery, and really, it's you and MK actually, and Julie as well. Like, MK says, "Appreciate you sharing. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but love having ideas to help my daughter with ideas."
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, and okay, so apologies if I'm putting you on the spot, Avery, because I'm about to put you on the spot, but maybe we should talk about maybe doing like some like a how-to tutorial, like live, just like F around live streams for the Discord, man, like how to kind of mess with Photoshop and AI imagery. That could be pretty cool.
Oh, okay, yeah, we could do something. Just set up a live stream and
guys, let me know if Julie, MK, KG, like you guys, let me know if you guys would like that.
And I don't even know the fast way to do everything in Photoshop, like the really good professional super. Like if
you're a painter.
Yeah, I roughly cut out what I want, drop it where I want it, and then start blending with blur and smear and painting on top. I'm not even like super adept at it, because there's people in Photoshop, they'll take 2 or 3 different photos and blend them together perfectly, and it's hard to tell what they did. And they do it fast.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll set that up. We'll talk offline and we'll figure out a day and time.
It's like cutting and pasting collages and then painting on top of it.
Yeah,
is basically what I do.
That's so awesome. It's like new school Dave McKeon.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys for coming out. Let's see. We got Julie says, it does sound good. I use Photoshop on my iPad though. I hated using it on the trackpad. Yeah, I can't do it on the trackpad. MK says sounds good. Awesome, guys. Everybody, thank you so much for coming out. MK, KG, Julie, welcome back, Julie. God, who else was here? Dusty, I guess Dusty's here. Dusty's here.
Wow.
Thank you, Dusty. Thank you to everybody who kind of came in and said what up. And of course, thanks to Drew and Studio, aka Avery. Our story's moving, man. It's sounding pretty dope. It's kind of coming along.
I like the idea of doing it as different mini series or one or a graphic novel for each one, and especially that look of inking and coloring your stuff. Like, I think that would look amazing.
It's gonna look really. It's starting to sound really freaking cool.
Yeah, it would. I'm down, man.
All right, we'll talk about it. We'll have to work on some styles and kind of figure this out, because it's pretty dope. It's pretty cool. All right, with that, I'm gonna tell everybody, love you guys. Thank you guys for coming out. Hop over into Discord, say hi to us. You know, we're usually doing something live Monday through Thursday. Friday, we're of course always on Discord, but we're around all the time. So don't be a stranger. We love you. Peace out. Take care. God bless.